The older you get in this business, the more cognizant you are of the amount of time that you have, the amount of times that you get to go in front of the people, and what an honor it is to be part of this business. And I've heard that over and over again since I started on Tough Enough 15 years ago. And the older I get and the longer I do this, the more it means. Because the more you put into something, the more you get out. The longer I do this, the more respect I have for it. And there's nothing else like it.
I think there's two sides of passion for it, and there are multiple sides actually, because somebody could look at a Jim Ross and they would want to be a color commentator or interviewer, or a ref. Some people look at the refs and they're like, man, I want to do that. Fans is, man, I just want to be a part of this and support this my whole life. I don't want to get in the ring, but I would love to do this. Some guys want to be managers. And I think the feeling that wrestlers have, it just feels right, and it's a hard question to answer. I would just go off of feeling, though. It was never a second thought. Like, every time I thought of what I wanted to be, wrestler was always there. Kids would change to, kids around you want to be policemen, firemen, doctors, astronauts. But me, it was always a wrestler, man. I can even remember being little with the name tag. Hey, my name is, what do you want to be, and I always had wrestler on there.
See, that's what I think is, crazy, too, because 10 years ago, I watched Rey Mysterio win the world title, and then just a couple months ago I got to wrestle Rey Mysterio for the first time, and I was just like, wow, even though it was not in WWE how my 11-year-old self envisioned it, it was still like, wow, I watched this dude on TV and now I'm in the ring with him.
I knew I was going to perform, whether it was acting, stunts, dancing. I didn't know wrestling was an option for me, to be honest.
I don't know if you noticed, but every time I go out there, my intention, my goal, my reason is to take my heart and pull it out, set it in the ring like a book, so people can open it up and read it, because I want them to understand exactly how much I love this. I want them to understand how much I put into this. I want the same energy that I give and they send back when they're cheering or booing or whatever it may be. When they're willing me to continue, no matter how much pain I'm in, I want that to be fully understood through my appreciation and my efforts in the ring.
I love it. I love every bit of it. I love every part, from the moment I'm getting ready to head on out, to when I'm on the road, to when I arrive to the venue, before before my match, after my match, the ride back home, everything. I honestly, I just loved everything about it. Everything.
Growing up too, I was never like into any sports, not football or anything like that. But then I saw wrestling and I was like, you can become anything. It doesn't matter about your size or anything. And I remember I went to my first Booker T show in Houston. He told me I was too young at the time because they didn't have like a kids program, and I was like 16. He was like, you gotta be 17 at least. And I remember when he said that, I was just heartbroken. I was like, I gotta wait a whole year before I can train? Like, nah. Because when I was 11, I had this all planned. I was like 16, I'm gonna get signed. I was like 16, I'll be signed to TNA. Then 18, I'll be in WWE. 21, I'll be WWE champion. For some reason, all these numbers, I was like, this is what's gonna happen by then. That was me and my buddies in my mom's backyard. Just trying to emulate what we see on TV. We're listening to the Don't Try It at Home. Yeah, a lot of dumb stuff on this, but good stuff.
The old timers will ask you, why did you get in the business? And there's one answer they want to hear: to make money, right? But it's not really feasible, right? I mean, it is, and it should be the goal, but like for some people, it's to express themselves and to tell their story, right? Once I realized like that I wasn't going to be that guy, there's other avenues, right? So there's other ways that you can contribute besides just being the star, right? Somebody's got to set the stage.
Money's always a driving factor for anything. I don't care what anyone says. If you do something that you really, really love and you're passionate about, of course you want to get paid for it. But that's just as good of a validation as anything, you know. So definitely money is a driving factor. Another factor is just people enjoy it. Other people enjoy it. So if I'm able to help out, and if they for 3 hours can take their mind off of whatever bothers them in their personal life, then I'm definitely going to do that.
I wanted to do something that could leave a lasting impression on people, something that could leave an impact on people. Because when I was a kid, part of what really I gravitated towards wrestling, because we grew up in poverty, and my mom passed away when I was really young, and we just had a bunch of like family kind of issues. But the thing that brought our family together was watching wrestling, and specifically my younger brother, myself, and my dad. I have two other siblings, but it was mostly my dad and my younger brother that we would watch wrestling together. We would go to wrestling shows when they would come to town, and that was like our escape.
I mean, yes, it's for experience, and it's, you know, hopefully one day I could do this for a living and hopefully make something out of this. But for me, it's a combination of that escapism and just being around the people that I love, being, you know, around the thing that I love. Ever since I was 10 years old, the only thing I could talk about with friends or family or anything was wrestling. I wasn't the kid that really liked anything else. I wasn't the kid that liked anything that popular kids liked. Wrestling was the topic for me. I was the wrestling guy for the longest time, and to be able to have a venue where I can express that is really all I really want out of this.
It wasn't like, I don't think I've ever said the words like, oh, I just love to entertain people. It's less that, and it's more of like, I don't know what else to do. Like, this is just like what is the most fun and what I think fits my skill set the best.
You know, so many people told me growing up, like, no, you can't do this. Like, the odds of you making it is like very slim to none. I had like teachers, I had principals call me into meetings. They try to like reason with me, like try to convince me almost not to do it. Cause like in school, I didn't care. I was like, I'm gonna be a pro wrestler. Like, none of this stuff you're teaching me doesn't matter to me. I'm gonna be a pro wrestler.
A lot of the time is all your friends at first. Everybody loves wrestling. You know, in elementary school to middle school, everybody loves wrestling, talks about it. Then they start growing out of it. And then they started, this is the point, so probably around junior high, everybody kind of starts growing out of it. And I played football. I really didn't want to play football. Like, all my brothers were good at football and stuff like that. I didn't want to do that, but once I got to junior high, only reason like I did athletics really was to become a better wrestler. But in that fold, everybody just stopped liking wrestling. I remember it went from we had our own little group of people that liked wrestling, and then they all kind of spread out. Then I was like the only one that liked wrestling.
I love everything of it, like every little bit, every single little thing. Ever since I was a little kid, I loved wrestling. I never thought I would ever do this. And during my whole entire teens, I had honestly just given up on actually becoming a pro wrestler, because all the wrestlers I would see on TV were like these big guys, were so big, huge, and ripped. And even whenever I would watch Lucha Libre, whenever I would watch CMLL or like AAA, those guys were just huge. Well, to me, they look so big, like on TV, and I'm like, man, I can't do all that flying stuff. I can't do any of this. Like, I don't see myself doing that. And I got into amateur style wrestling, and I'm like, this is the closest thing to wrestling that I'm gonna get into, closest thing to pro wrestling that I'm gonna do. And I was doing really good with that. I went to I won district. I didn't quite make it to regionals because the competition would just get so tough. But at the same time, I just loved the competition of it. Everything about it was just so great. Like wrestling in general, like the sound of it is just awesome.
I remember being 11 or 12 years old and one of my buddies telling me, hey, watch Raw one night, because I went into his bedroom one time and I saw a picture of a guy up on the wall, and I said, who is that? He said, that's Triple H, man. I said, he looks amazing. He looks crazy. What is this? He said, Monday night, check it out. I turn on USA. I see Tajiri, Kurt Angle, Triple H, Chris Jericho. Never stopped watching it since. Decided whenever I was of age, didn't like college, started wrestling school, and 8 years later, I'm here at Wrestle Circus, killing my body for money and for these people.
So I was at work saving up money to go to wrestling school, and I went to wrestling school like someone would go to college. I looked into all the schools. I made trips, I just would make road trips to go check out wrestling schools, and I chose OVW in Louisville, Kentucky.
It's crazy, man, because it's a milestone, and you haven't done nothing yet, in the business, but it's still a milestone. It's still something to you where you can say, wow, when I was 14, I said I was going to do this, and look, I'm here now training for it. And, it was in a warehouse. It wasn't the prettiest of places. And it's rugged, it's indie. That's why you always have a love for the indie, especially if you come from it, because you know how hard it is.
1, 2, 3.
This is a AAPW training academy. This is a local wrestling school here in Austin, Texas. This is George A. Isla School, and he runs the school, and I'm his associate. I love the wrestling business. I've been in the business a little over 33 years now, and I've just started off wrestling, got injured, couldn't let it go, so I started refereeing, promoting, training, and now I'm helping George here with the training. Our thing is we want to pass on what we know to the new generation, next generation of kids. Usually you can tell them right away by the way they act, their demeanor, what kind of attitude they have. Within 10 minutes of talking to them, you'll find out if this kid's going to make it or not. We just try to talk to them and tell them, you're doing okay, but you just don't get it. And allow them to have heart. So if they keep trying, we're not going to break their spirit and tell them, okay, get out of here. Keep trying. Maybe they will, something kick into where they will get it. They're basically a reflection of us, like of George, the school, of me, and of course we don't want something to come out of the school that's not any good. We want something to show and shine for us, to make us look good. Say, hey, those guys came from the AAPW Training Academy, so they're good guys.
I'm doing something I never thought I would be doing. 2 years ago, I would never think I'd be in a ring or in a wrestling school or even helping set up a ring, anything with wrestling. And personally, it's just I love learning about the business, and it's pretty much like a random dream come true, because I never thought when I'm watching wrestlers like Sasha Banks or Bailey, I'd be doing the same things, learning the same things, and starting from scratch like they once did.
when I walk out the curtain and people are cheering for me, it's kind of a, I don't know, because it's something that I've worked hard for, so it feels like hard work paying off, which in some ways, it might sound egotistical, but in some ways it feels like it's deserved, like because of the hard work I've put in. But other ways it's still, again, very rewarding because not everybody gets that, no matter how long they've been doing it. It's not something that is, you clock in enough time and you get to be that status. It's definitely something that you've perfected or you've worked at, and it's something that can be unique to you. A lot of wrestlers get different responses, but I just feel like it's something that should be happening at this point in my life.
That's what feeling accepted feels like. That's like everything I've done has paid off, and people finally know who I am. People finally like me, that I can do this, that I belong here. Like, I almost cried, honestly. It was crazy.
It's weird because I'm not nervous at all, but once I actually the match is coming up, I'm like, oh crap. I do get nervous, more so man, I don't want to mess something up, not for myself, but for somebody else. But man, once you walk out there, it's weird. It literally all those nerves just go away.
It's undescribable. Everything that I've worked hard for, all my training, all my blood, sweat, and tears, and just to walk out and have people actually cheering for me, it's amazing, and it just puts me on another level. I can't explain the feeling. It's an emotion that you can't get anywhere else except wrestling.
I'd been battling a sciatic issue for a good year or so, which anybody that's had sciatic knows it comes and it goes, it's up and it's down, different severities and so on and so forth. I've been working with New Japan Pro Wrestling since 2011, but they had us as a group over with a company called Pro Wrestling Noah for about 2 years. And then they had two big shows on this tour. One was on February 5th, the other one was going to be on February 11th. February 5th was in Sapporo, Japan, February 11th was going to be in Osaka, Japan. So I got up to the February 5th show. Everything went really good. Match had, a really good match. Everything went really well. And then we traveled back to Tokyo on the 6th of February. Well, on the 6th, I noticed that I was in more pain than I had been to this point of the tour. The 7th, we had a show in Tokyo, and I could barely stand up or do anything. The 8th, I asked them if they would take me to the hospital and get me checked out, which they did. And then every day past that, it just got worse and worse and worse. By the time the 10th of February rolled around, I could not stand up in my hotel room, beyond excruciating pain. They checked me back into the hospital, and on February 11th, while everybody else had traveled to Osaka, Japan for the final show, I was having surgery done in Tokyo. I had a microdiscectomy done. I'm pretty sure that's how you announce it. Basically, they opened up my back, cut off a piece of my spine, and cut off the herniation that was severing off the nerve. So that was where the surgery happened. That's when it happened, and it's a 5 to 6 month recovery. And then when I came home, I was here for a week or two, and Andy Dalton, who said he had some big announcement. I was like, what's this big announcement? And he's like, oh, don't worry, you'll find out. And I'm like, quit putting me in the dark. You tell me everything. Why don't you tell me this? And ultimately, when he posted about it and the poster had my picture on it, I'm like, I can't wrestle. And he goes, read the poster. And it says a benefit for Lance Hoyt. And it was one of those things that kind of brought tears to my eye, because he and my family, and he's like, you'd be surprised at the amount of outreach I've had just from the short period of time of people saying they want to be a part of it, they're going to be a part of it, they're going to donate, they're going to do something for it. He's gotten a lot of things and items signed that nobody in the U.S. would ever get signed, stuff from Japan, from the different factions that, they'll probably never get a chance to get signed, just left and right. And every single person that's here today for this event that are donating their time, whether they're stepping in the ring, doing security, the school that donated stuff, the people at the front door, everybody that's running concessions, Main Event Pro Wrestling, who brought all the sound system, Tacoma Pro, which brought the ring and everything like that. I mean, just there's no way I could ever repay all these people for the amazing things that they're doing for me right now. And I personally don't think I deserve it, but it's amazing that they would even do it. So humbling, to say the least.
I know a lot is happening in Hearn today. I know we had another gentleman that's having a benefit barbecue. I know the city had important things going on with voting. We have the prom for the juniors and seniors tonight, and they're out trying to get pretty and have a good time for themselves, and I remember those days. For everybody that's here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so very much.
I'm ultimately grateful that I'm having this opportunity to heal, because the sciatic was so painful for so long, fighting it, wrestling, training, all the things with so much pain. And now I'm finally getting an opportunity to heal. So whereas I'm itching to get back in the ring, I love professional wrestling. It's absolutely what I'm working very hard right now to get back to. I'm in a sense enjoying the time off to try to let my body heal, strengthen up, and hopefully get back to it at more than 100%, because I was nowhere near 100% before the surgery.
What's the motivation of getting in a ring?
Why does someone marry? Why does someone fall in love with someone? What's the specific thing that someone falls in love with? Like, why do you fall in love with somebody when you see them? You 9 times out of 10, you can't specify what it is, right? Why'd you fall in love with making movies or with filming? That's something you just can't describe to people, because that's something that's within this. So I guess the moving force of it is a passion and love for it, in a general sense. Like, if you want to be superficial with it, that's about as superficial as you get. Right. Because getting deeper into that all revolves around the same 2 words, which is passion and love for it.
It's still like coming down.
Steve's hand. Okay. Let's go get him sitting down so I can work on it.
I tried hardest to put you flat on the. No, his hand got busted open. I got busted open when I took the backdrop to the outside. I hit the corner of the step. I knew coming into wrestling that I was already shortening my lifespan. Anyway, so.
Turn on your back.
shit hurts, man. It's either die at 90 from working in a cubicle, hating myself for not following my dreams, or do my best to live as most I can, or as long as I can, doing what I love. Maybe one day somebody will notice it and pay me more, But hell, I've done every kind of match in the world trying to get noticed. You gotta do what you can.
I can staple it, which is quicker.
Yeah.
I can sew it, which is going to take longer.
Which one is easier for the remedy at home to take the shit out?
And I'll give you the staple remover to take it off.
Do the stitches disappear, evaporate?
No. These are stitches you'd have to go to the hospital and get them removed. Unless you've got insurance, which I'm assuming.
I do. I just don't want to have to go to the hospital. Like a lot of people, they see this stuff and they get that stereotype. It's like, oh, this is all they do. This is garbage. Like, dude, I wrestle. I can do a 60-minute match where we just Greco-Roman wrestling, or you want to see some lucha libre? I'll do that too. It's like I can do it all. This is just a special story that we just decided to tell. And only certain guys can really do it without having to go and pop a dozen pills and shit like that just to get through the day. Like, I don't have to do that. Keep this stretching. And so, yeah, I got a nick on my head. Big deal. Like half of us have broken most of the bones in our body anyway. It's a little cut. We're doing this to make sure I don't have a concussion or any infection or anything. You don't want to do too many scars, right? But like, it's painful. Not a lot of guys can handle it, and that's why not a lot of guys are wrestlers. Sure, it fucking hurts for $50, $100, $200. I'm trying to get noticed and for fan exposure to like go to other places and not do that, but like wrestle so I can pay my electric bill and my rent, Hell, I started 10 years ago. A couple weeks ago was my 10th anniversary of wrestling. I didn't get paid for like 6 months, and then I started getting $30 for a match, regardless of the type of match or how long. Just trying to do what I can to break out.
During your whole journey, has anybody ever told you to stop doing what you're doing?
Absolutely. First and foremost, my dad. Because I had a very, very pretty promising future with football. I was talking to NFL teams in my freshman year of college. Think about it like this. You got a kid that has an opportunity to go make millions of dollars, okay? Easily. And that kid decides, I don't want that. I want to start from the bottom with professional wrestling and work my way to the top. How would you feel about that? What do you tell your kid that has this promising future to make lots of money and be well off? Not struggle, not know any type of issues in his life. Just be a superstar athlete. I think I'm still that, I just went a different route. Is it more difficult? Absolutely. Absolutely. But this is what I love. This is my choice, and I stood on my own 2 feet to make it happen, so I stick with it.
Every single week I have a few people always tell me, stop doing it. Stop doing it. Family, mainly. Family, close friends. And the reason why they say that is because, like, oh, it's so dangerous, this and that, and blah, blah, blah. You get hit a lot in the head, blah, blah, blah. And, like, it happens. It's part of it.
2004 through 2010, I was in a pretty dark place. And wrestling was the light at the end of the tunnel. So, I would go to school, but school was just a thing that I had to do. Wrestling would actually kind of be my motivation to wake up the next morning and go continue on and push on. The hardest part is time away from family and friends. Doing the wrestling itself is your childhood dream, right? That's the easy part. It's what are you giving up to do it, For me, it's just the time, my free time, instead of going into my friends or my family, goes into wrestling, So, and it's creating that balance. Like I haven't neglected my family, but just having those moments where you have to pick one, to me that's the hardest part.
I run a small business, and when you're a small business owner, you are you're working insane hours. And I've got so much more traction career-wise doing comedy that it's hard to go to a market where they're not familiar with me, where I won't make that promotion any money, so therefore I'm not going to make any money. Am I attracted to the idea of like going on a California tour with Delilah Doom and being her manager? Fuck yeah. But I'm not going to make any money doing that. And for me, I'm not saying that I would never do that. I am interested in exploring that. I've done it one time, but I'm ashamed to say it's only been one time, but it's only been one time where I've gone into a promotion with no prior background. It was not in my backyard to go work a match, and I loved it, but it was like, made $5, then I could have made a lot more doing a comedy show, or also I had to take a night off from running my business. So it's just a challenge.
Being hospitalized right after I started wrestling, and while I was in the hospital, I was told I have an enlarged spleen, which is, if you know anything about enlarged spleens, it's not good for contact sports, and it took me out of wrestling for a good 4 months before I even went back to training. And to this day, it's something that I struggle with and something I have to be very aware of, and something I got to take care of, because one bad shot in the ring, one bad fall, one bad impact, and I could be in the hospital, and it's hard. I'm very conscious that every time I get in the ring, if something goes wrong, or if something comes in the way it's not supposed to, that potentially it goes to potentially I could die, because I could bleed out internally from a ruptured spleen. And it's probably dumb for me still to do this, but it's something that I've loved since I was a child, and it's something that I just started getting to do, and it's something that actually calms the anxiety in my head. So if I'm not doing this, then I feel like I'm not living to what I'm supposed to be doing.
I remember my boss, or my former boss, he called me into the office, and he was like, well, look, here's the thing, like, we gotta let someone go here, and I'd love to keep you, but I don't know if you're fully committed to being here. And I was like, what do you mean? Because I feel like I do my job pretty well. And he told me, you need a lot of weekends off. And at that time I was doing a lot of extra work for the WWE. And so I can understand why he was like, I can't keep this guy if he's gonna like disappear on me. He offered me, he said, like, in a couple months I was due for a raise or whatever. So he's like, I'll give you like a pretty decent raise or whatever for you to grow up. I was just so blown off by that, because I was just like, what? Like, I'm gonna get fired for like doing nothing basically, but just because I'm following my dream. And I remember I was like, I took a deep breath, and I was just like, with all due respect, I appreciate the offer, but without wrestling, I'm not happy. And that was my last day. I signed some paperwork, and that was it. And that really fucked me up too. I had to move out of my apartment there, had to move back in my mom's for a couple months, and then oh man, it sucked. It fucked me up on my credit too. Like, took a while to get back on track, and to see where I've come since then, to wrestling Rey Mysterio and all the shit I've done, man. I have no regrets. No regrets at all.
Why am I giving my money away to help out people that may or may not even appreciate it? And I'm renting a room, or I don't have something I own myself. Because of this, why am I doing that to myself, right? That's the biggest one. But then, for me, it's guys like Eamon. Eamon's a big one for me, where I'll be like, I can't let that kid down, because if I let this just fall by the wayside, he doesn't have a place to come and express himself, right? You're gonna affect more people. You just kind of get emotional, and like, I gotta do it for them, so you keep pushing on.
The morning of our shows, I get on our social media and answer questions from fans that they have about their tickets and parking and all that kind of last minute stuff. And then I print all the signs that go around the venue. I get our Twitch stream set up with the commands and moderators, and I get us set up with the guys that clip the show and do GIFs of the show.
Where's Al at?
He went and got the truck because they had it by campus, and it's a game day, and people are like tailgating, so it was gonna take forever. So he went early to go get it. Yeah, it'll be fine. He left like an hour ago, so he should be back soon.
Your eyelash is falling off.
Uh-oh. This one?
Yeah.
So we have 34 people on the card for this show today for Circus Mania, and probably about 20 of them are being flown in. They're from out of state. So for everyone that we fly in, we send out a form of asking where they're flying from and where they're flying to, and then if they have a show the Friday or the Sunday after, so that we can coordinate with that promoter and make sure they're there on time. Travel is always something to coordinate. So far, nothing going on today. Everything's smooth sailing. But I'll just stay apprised of that all day, and they'll update me if their flight's delayed, and just coordinate if we need to make some changes. So we stay flexible. Show day, it's our motto. We stay flexible.
What's up? Today is the day. Today is the day.
Today is the day.
Hell yeah. I'm pumped. Like, I'm already seeing so many tweets and everything. Think about it, Harvey. Yeah, escape artist.
So yeah, as you can see, we're just finishing up getting loaded for the ring today. We had a crazy last minute venue change just yesterday. We had a place booked, and they reached out to us, let us know that their landlord, so the person that they were actually renting the building from, caught wind of a professional wrestling event happening in that building. He called it off. He hit them up, let them know that basically if they were to run the show, they would be evicted from their building. And we tried to dig into it, and honestly it was a pretty common theme. Like, we hear all the time that they don't want the liability. They think that the fans are going to ruin their building. They think that the wrestling fans in general are disrespectful, and lots of landlords and even people who are looking to rent out their building, because that's what we've been looking for. Is we've been trying to find a venue that we can actually lease from somebody. And there's been 2 applications. We got all the way down the road with the property management group, and then whenever the owner has actually found out that we're a wrestling company, they axed the deal at the last minute. So yeah, I mean, typically the things we hear is that it's all about liability, but we as a company, we carry $1 million liability insurance for each one of our events. We take on full liability. I mean, we have a legal team that's advising us on all these things. And I mean, honestly, I don't think liability is the true issue. I think that, even the 800 Congress venue, they told us they didn't want to become known as a wrestling venue. And that's part of what I think they ended up starting to price us out. Essentially, they tripled the lease cost. That's the issues we've been facing. I know it's not a new issue. Wrestling promoters have been dealing with this for a long time. And unfortunately, I think with the exposure that our company has had, the good thing is we're starting to let this be known and the word's getting out. But yeah, I mean, it's something that wrestling promoters we deal with on a day-to-day basis. We'll be center with the light. Yeah, we'll get the ring centered. We'll be able to get at least 4 rows of chairs here.
You could have a short entrance from here to kind of almost just like here, rings right here.
we get to the shows, we go out there, we get to put all of our problems away. That's like almost like escape for not just the crowd, but for, I feel like, wrestlers too. Is like we get to get away from that. I think it's just life in general and trying to figure out like what is gonna happen for the future. I lose my mind a little bit thinking about when is like the next thing gonna happen? What is next? I'm always chasing the what's next, but then I remind myself, but we're here. It's a Monday, you know? We can't chase 3 months from now. We gotta chase right now. So overall, I think it's good. And 2017, 2018, I think good things are in store for me.
What's the end? There's no end. The grind is forever. No matter where I go or what I do, I'm always going to want to be more. And I think that should be the case for any and everyone, regardless of what they do, whether they work a 9 to 5, whether they are working out in the gym, whether they're trying to do something different in their life, start stretching more, save money. Whatever it is, to me, you should want to be better at what it is than you were the day before. So, for me, wherever I go, whatever I do, whatever platform I get to, I just want to be more than that. And who knows where that takes me? I'm not one that predicts the future. I'm no psychic or anything like that. But I'm just gonna be patient and enjoy the ride.
My grandfather worried about everybody else and made sure everybody else was okay. My father worked incredibly long hours to make sure that we had what we needed. So it's taken me a while to learn how to put myself first, and that it's okay to do that sometimes. So I think that's kind of where the service side of how do I push other people up? What do I do to help other people in wrestling came from. Those two are my biggest role models. But I'm finally at a point where I can say I'm happy. Personally, over the last year, I've started to fall in love with myself. And I don't know that before that I ever loved myself.
You know, you start doing shows and you see what it can do to some people, how you can kind of encourage some people, how you can kind of excite some people. If you ever go to a show, get there super early and see a little kid walk in and see a wrestling ring, it's crazy. They're like the emotion on their face. I've seen it so many times, and it's always like, it never gets old. Knowing that we're that I could be a help to making a day better, you know, brighten people's day, and people pay to see you, but they're happy because you're there. And then me just loving it, man. Just being able to get in there and do what I really love to do and get paid for it. And probably not like I want to yet, or at the level that I want to yet, but even just building towards that, because how many other people in this world wanted to be a wrestler but never even went to training school, you know? How many other people wanted to make their own movies but never pick up a camera just because they thought the idea was cool? Or pick up the camera but never really even, you know, move the inch out of their comfort zone to make anything happen. So that's why when you look at it, you're getting paid to do something that you like to do. How can you not be happy? And when I had to call my parents to ask for help, I would still go to the wrestling ring with a smile on my face, because that's my world, man. You know, as long as I'm doing wrestling, I can't really see me being, I feel like my car could get repoed right now. I feel like I can hit rock bottom, but if I'm still wrestling every weekend, I can't see me being disappointed or sad.